Hello there, very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and this is your one-stop for the day's top stories from India and across the world. Let's start with the headlines. Opposition parties react to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's TV interview, charge the government with not pursuing a clear foreign policy. National Conference leads the opposition walkout in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly, accused the centre of whipping up war hysteria over the Pampore attack. European Union tells Britain to make a speedy exit to avoid lingering uncertainty. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says the Union is strong to proceed without it. And Iceland makes history in European Cup football, stuns England to set up a last 16 encounter with France. Top story this evening. Opposition parties today accuse Prime Minister Narendra Modi of not having a comprehensive policy towards Pakistan, claiming that diplomacy does not need theatrics. The Congress and the CPIM criticized Modi's remarks that he made in an interview to a TV channel yesterday. Here are more details.
The opposition feels the Narendra Modi government's foreign policy lacks coherence, clarity and consistency.
Because of their faulty import-export policies, the prices of pulses have now reached astronomical levels. And therefore, on price rise, he has utterly failed. On the issue of providing employment, he has utterly failed.
The remarks came a day after Prime Minister Narendra Modi answered a wide range of questions in an interview by a TV channel. The Congress said the Prime Minister's replies lacked substance. Leader of opposition in the upper house, Ghulam Nabi Azad, termed the interview disappointing.
2 साल के बाद मैं देखा कि एक बहुत ही निराशाजनक इंटरव्यू था, उसके उत्तर थे और इतना डिफेंसिव मैंने पहली दफा माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को देखा। पाकिस्तान से के साथ जो विदेश नीति हमारे हिंदुस्तान की रही, इतनी बड़ी बड़ी सौगात हमको मिली है कि हमको हर हफ्ते अपने नौजवानों की, फौज के, पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस के, पुलिस के, पाकिस्तान के उन हथियारों के हाथों में जान खोना पड़ती है। ये शायद बीजेपी की बहुत बड़ी उपलब्धि अगर इसको कहेंगे।
Congress leaders accused the government of having a dual strategy on the issue of RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan.
जो आरोप एक एमपी ने उन पर लगाया था आरबीआई गवर्नर पर, वो करप्शन का था कि बैंक के लाइसेंसिंग में उनका हाथ है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उनको देशभक्ति का सर्टिफिकेट दिया। ये सब प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि उनको जो ऐसा इनका विरोध करते हैं उनको ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए। सो दिस इज एडवाइजरी, इसमें एक्शन नहीं है। जैसे बच्चे को कहते हैं आग की तरह हाथ जाता है, अरे बच्चे ऐसे नहीं करते।
Other leaders welcomed the Prime Minister's efforts to answer questions on government's policy.
Narendra Modi has done the right thing by giving a detailed interview after a long time, and perhaps for the first time, on a number of major issues before the nation and before society.
Overall, I think some important issues were addressed on GST, on foreign policy, and it was good to hear what the head of government is thinking about it.
While the Congress objected to being singled out on the passage of Goods and Services Tax Regime Bill, BJP leaders expressed hope that it will be passed in the upcoming monsoon session.
कानून जो गरीबों के हित में, नागरिकों के हित में बनाए जा रहे हैं, उसको भी रोकने का अधिकार किसी पार्टी को नहीं है। और यही वजह है कि हम ये मानते हैं कि जीएसटी इस बार पास होगी।
पूरी उम्मीद है कि सभी राजनीतिक पार्टियां एकजुट होकर के, मिल करके देश के विकास से जुड़े हुए इस महत्वपूर्ण जीएसटी कानून को कानून का दर्जा और जामा पहनाएंगी और जीएसटी को पास करेंगी.
In his first interview to Times Now after becoming Prime Minister, Narendra Modi also expressed hope on India's entry into the nuclear supplies group. Vishal Dayya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now over to Jammu and Kashmir, where the National Conference MLA staged a walkout from the State Assembly, even as Home Minister Rajnath Singh conducted a security review in the state today. Meanwhile, a top commander of the Hizbul Mujahideen was shot dead in an encounter in Kupwara district, where 8 CRPF personnel were killed on Saturday. Here's a report.
Chaotic scenes in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly for the second day in a row. Opposition National Conference MLAs staged a walkout, accusing the BJP of creating war hysteria over the recent incidents of violence, including the Pampore attack.
ये पहले तो वार हिस्टीरिया क्रिएट कर देते हैं, कभी कहेंगे ये है वो है, लेकिन गोली जब चलती है वो अर्निया के बॉर्डर पे, बालाकोट पे, सावजियां गगरिया के लोगों को, एलओसी पे या यहाँ पे लोगों को तकलीफ होती है, वो कहीं नागपुर में या कहीं और तकलीफ नहीं होती है. इसलिए जो भी बात करनी ये सरकार में है. हमने ये कहा कि सरकार वाजे कर दे क्या पॉलिसी है हमारी और क्या सिक्योरिटी सिनेरियो है स्टेट का. एक डर का माहौल बना के बैठ गए.
Meanwhile, army and police forces shot dead a top Hizbul Mujahideen commander during a joint search operation in Kupwara district.
अभी हमने रिकवर कर लिया है उसका बॉडी और समीर वानी नाम बता रहे हैं. अभी आइडेंटिफिकेशन वगैरह जारी है. टॉप कमांडर ऑफ हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन है.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh directed intensified security vigils in the state. The centre has already set up a 3-member team to look into the lapses that led to the deaths of 8 CRPF personnel in the Pampore attack. The team will also look into instances of cross-border infiltration and standard operating procedures of paramilitary forces in fighting the threat. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
The Cabinet Committee on Parliamentary Affairs, chaired by Home Minister Rajnath Singh, will meet tomorrow to decide the schedule of the monsoon session of Parliament. The session is expected to start from the third week of July. 45 bills, including the GST bill, are pending in Rajya Sabha, while 5 bills are awaiting clearance in the Lok Sabha. The government is hopeful of the passage of GST in this session. It has indicated that many regional parties have broken ranks with the Congress on the issue. The government will also push for the Whistleblowers Protection Amendment Bill 2015 that had an inconclusive discussion after being moved last December. Meanwhile, 5 newly elected members of the upper house were sworn in today. The ceremony was held inside Parliament and attended by Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari, Deputy Chairman PJ Kurian and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu, among several other leaders. The new members represent Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Gujarat.
5 newly elected members of Rajya Sabha took oath at a function held in Parliament on Tuesday in the presence of Rajya Sabha Chairman Mohammad Hamid Ansari. These members include Railway Minister Suresh Prabhu and YSR Congress leader V. Vijayasai Reddy, both elected from Andhra Pradesh. BJP's Purushottam Rupala from Gujarat and TRS leaders Captain Lakshmikant Rao and Dharmapuri Srinivas from Telangana. The members listed their priorities soon after being sworn in.
I feel that the happiness coupled with responsibility, because our state is a new state recently formed. So definitely we will be requiring a lot of help from the central government also.
जिस वजह से तेलंगाना स्टेट में आगे है, उस तरीके से डेवलप करने की दिशा में हमारे सीएम साहब जा रहे हैं. उनका हाथा मजबूत करके और दिल्ली पार्लियामेंट या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के जरिए जो भी चीज़ हमारे को आने का है स्टेट को और लाने का है या कोशिश करना है, उसमें बरकरार रहेंगे.
I therefore have decided to introduce an amendment to anti-defection law by way of a private member bill, which I'll be doing it soon.
The oath ceremony was also attended by Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha PJ Kurian, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu. Elections were held to 57 Rajya Sabha seats after the expiry of term of members. 30 members were elected unopposed, while 27 others faced elections in various states. Out of these, the BJP won 11 seats, the Samajwadi Party 7, Congress 6 and BSP 2 seats. 2 independents were also elected. With Pranav Goswami, Bureau Inputs, Rajya Sabha TV.
A special NIA court today rejected the bail application of Sadhvi Pragya Thakur in the 2008 Malegaon blast case. Pragya's lawyer filed the petition on the 30th of May after the National Investigation Agency dropped her name from its charge sheet. The investigating agency claimed charges against her are not maintainable and had earlier said that it had no objection to Pragya's bail application. However, a victim's father and Maligaon resident Syed Nisar Ahmed opposed the application. 12 people, including Sadhvi Pragya and Colonel Purohit, were arrested for carrying out a blast at Maligaon on the 29th of September in 2008. 6 people were killed and 100 others were injured. In Jharkhand, Maoists killed 6 alleged criminals of a notorious gang last night. Police said that the Maoist members of the People's Liberation Front of India clashed with the gang members in Khunti district. The criminals were wanted in many other cases. Police are still investigating the matter.
में 6 व्यक्ति हैं जिसमें जाकिर जो कि मेन लीड कर रहा था, एक आपराधिक गिरोह बनाया हुआ था और बहुत ये लूट और चोरी के मामलों में शामिल था और इस पे कई शिकायतें ये भी आई थी कि तुपुदाना क्षेत्र में रंगदारी के केसेस में वांटेड था। तो इसी समूह को आपसी वर्चस्व में किसी दूसरे ग्रुप के द्वारा संभवतः PLFI ये घात लगा के यहाँ पे हत्या की गई है।
As monsoon approaches, preventive measures against dengue are in full swing in the national capital. The Kejriwal government had received flack last year for not being fully prepared to check the menace. Dengue cases breached the 10,000 mark last year, the worst outbreak since 1996, when over 400 people lost their lives.
Even as the monsoon keeps Delhi waiting, the dengue virus has already signalled its arrival. 7 cases were reported in the city over the past 1 week. That's 28 since January, which is 11 cases more in the same period last year. The number of cases outside Delhi stands at 21, with 9 being reported from Uttar Pradesh and 1 from Haryana. The MCD is on a vector control drive, including conducting regular checks on mosquito breeding.
पहले एक तो अवेयरनेस कैंपेन और जो ड्राइव है अपनी फील्ड में एक्टिविटीज़ बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ाई हैं और कुछ चीज़ें और भी नई ईजाद की हैं, जैसे डेंगू फ्री कूलर नया निकाला है जिसके अंदर जो पानी का टैंक है कूलर का उसके ऊपर एक मॉस्किटो नेट लगा दी जाती है ताकि मॉस्किटो उसके कांटेक्ट में नहीं आए और वहाँ ब्रीड ना करे। तो उससे काफ़ी, क्योंकि डेंगू के लिए सबसे बड़ी स्थान जो है कूलर है जहाँ पे मॉस्किटो 8% से ऊपर जो केसेस हैं कूलर के अंदर ब्रीडिंग से ही मिलते हैं, तो उसको चेक करने के लिए उसके लिए भी अवेयरनेस हम बढ़ा रहे हैं।
Experts are warning that the number of dengue patients could rise if precautions are not taken in the rainy season.
गमले होते हैं, कूलर होते हैं, कोशिश करें कि वो पानी ड्राई रहे, लेकिन कई दफ़ा होता है कि पानी रहता ही है तो ऊपर से कुछ ड्रॉप्स कैरोसिन ऑयल के रख दे देंगे। बच्चे जो खेलते हैं कोशिश करनी चाहिए बुशेस वगैरह के पास जहाँ जो मच्छर का बैठने की जगह होती है उनको वहाँ बच्चे जब जाते हैं तो कोशिश करें कि फुल स्लीव शर्ट पहने, निकर के बदले पूरी फुल पजामा चाहे पैंट पहन लें, नंगे जो है पाँव में सॉक्स पहनी हो। तो ये अपने रात को जब हम सोते हैं ऐसे प्रोटेक्शन लेके मॉस्किटो रिपेलेंट लगा सकते हैं।
The Delhi government has started legal proceedings against over 29,000 households where mosquito breeding was found. Last year, Delhi reported over 15,000 dengue cases, the worst in 20 years, when the virus claimed 60 lives. Anu Devan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's take you through some more quick updates from across the country in Nationwide. Bengaluru's first woman cab driver Bharti Veerath was found dead in her house today. The 39-year-old was found hanging from a ceiling fan. Neighbours, who got suspicious after finding a cab parked in front of the house for a long time, knocked on her door and found her dead. Although no note was found at her residence, police are suspecting a case of suicide. A special task force of the UP police arrested the main accused in the murder case of NIA official Mohammad Tanzil Ahmed. The accused Munir was arrested along with 2 associates in Noida. A 9mm pistol was also recovered from him. Tanzil Ahmed was shot dead by motorcycle-borne assailants in front of his wife and 2 children on the 3rd of April this year when they were returning from a wedding. Naga militant leader Isaac Chisi died after multiple organ failure today. The 87-year-old chairman of the Socialist Council of Nagaland IM was undergoing treatment for almost a year at a private hospital in South Delhi. A high-tension electric wire fell on a van, killing at least 5 people who were returning from a wedding ceremony in Jharkhand. The incident took place in Chandana village of Dumka district when about 10 people were travelling back to their village. Time for a quick break. We'll be back with the international news in a bit. Stay with us.
prolific British poet and story writer Joseph Rudyard Kipling, one of the first masters of short stories in English. In 1894 appeared his Jungle Book, which became a children's classic all over the world. Kim, the story of Kimball O'Hara and his adventures in the Himalayas, is perhaps his most felicitous work published. Set in and concerned with India he had come to know and love so well. In 1907, Kipling became the first English language writer to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries. Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. Let's get into international news. And European Union leaders from all the 28 countries are meeting in Brussels to debate over the UK's decision to leave the Union after a referendum last week. There were, of course, heated exchanges in the EU Parliament, where Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker called on Britain to make a swift exit from the bloc to avoid lingering uncertainty.
All 28 European leaders met in Brussels on Tuesday to debate Britain's vote last week to break away from the European Union. The European Parliament saw bitter exchanges with Nigel Farage, one of the architects of Britain's seismic decision, being booed.
That's the last time you are applauding here. And to some extent, I'm really surprised that you are here. You were fighting for the exit. The British people voted in favour of the exit. Why are you here?
Claiming that Parliament members were in denial, Farage appealed to them to cut a sensible tariff-free deal.
The reason you're so angry has been perfectly clear from all the angry exchanges this morning. You, as a political project, are in denial. You're in denial that your currency is failing.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel, on the other hand, underscored Germany's determination to both maintain close ties with Britain and work to strengthen the European Union.
Sie ist stark genug, auch mit 27 Mitgliedstaaten weiter voranzuschreiten. Und sie ist stark genug, auch künftig erfolgreich ihre Interessen in der Welt zu vertreten. Die Europäische Union ist einer der größten Wirtschaftsräume der Welt.
Earlier, President of the European Commission Juncker told the EU Parliament that Britain must make a swift exit from the bloc to avoid lingering uncertainty. British Prime Minister David Cameron, who met EU leaders for the first time after the Brexit referendum, hoped for a constructive divorce with the European Union and the closest possible relationship afterwards.
I want that process to be as constructive as possible, and I hope the outcome can be as constructive as possible, because of course, while we're leaving the European Union, we mustn't be turning our backs on Europe. These countries are our neighbours, our friends, our allies, our partners, and I very much hope we'll seek the closest possible relationship in terms of trade and cooperation and security, because that is good for us and that is good for them.
Back in Britain, the Labour Party led by Jeremy Corbyn plunged further into crisis after 9 members withdrew their support in the wake of Britain's vote to leave the European Union. The referendum vote has also seen a rise in series of racist incidents in the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And for more news and updates from across the world, here's Global Buzz. A Mi-17 Russian helicopter crashed, killing 17 Colombians on board in the central mountainous area of the Andean country yesterday. The accident took place in a rural zone of Pennsylvania province, northeast of Bogota. The dead include 5 crew members and 12 soldiers. The military personnel killed were involved in an operation against guerrillas of the National Liberation Army. In the US, 2 people were killed and 2 others injured in a shootout about 20 miles north of Salem in West Oregon. The gunman was arrested by the police. They are still investigating the reason behind the murder. A grenade attack on a Malaysian pub injured 8 civilians, including a Chinese national. The incident took place at a bar in Kuala Lumpur when people were watching the live screening of the Euro soccer tournament. A search is on for the suspect, but the police have ruled out terrorism as the motive. China's central Hubei province experienced severe floods after heavy rainfall disrupted normal life and prompted authorities to declare 7 red storm alerts. Red indicating the most severe level. Around 20 people were killed this year due to floods in China. A group of clerics in Pakistan made a landmark decision by issuing a fatwa to validate a marriage between transgenders. The Tanzeem-e-Ittehad-e-Ummat Pakistan, a clerical body, said that transgenders had full rights to marry under Islamic inheritance law. Earlier in 2012, the Pakistan Supreme Court had set equal rights for transgender citizens, including the right to inherit property and also the right to vote. And now to the big story in sports. England suffered their worst humiliation since being knocked out of the 1950 World Cup by the US as Iceland shocked them in the last 16 of the Euro Cup. And Italy produced a tactically superior display to end Spain's quest for a 3rd consecutive European Championship title. Here are more details.
Hart is forward for England. Kane has taken it. Hart is up.
Iceland scripted history on Monday by pulling off one of the biggest shocks in European Championship history, beating England 2-1.
Iceland's fantasy beyond fantasy.
After falling behind to a 4th-minute Wayne Rooney penalty, Iceland levelled almost immediately through Ragnar Sigurdsson and struck again in the 18th minute through Kolbeinn Sigthorsson.
Chance opening up and it's in! From Kolbeinn Sigthorsson!
In the second half, Icelanders defended superbly to earn a quarter-final match against France on the 4th of July.
They haven't given Halldórsson enough to do.
This was probably our best game. Both defensively, we didn't have so much problem defending the English, and also in ball possession we created a lot of good chances.
Ecstatic fans celebrated the historic win for the smallest nation in the tournament.
I'm shocked, but not surprised. We have a really good team, and it's absolutely the best players that we have, and they do everything for each other.
I don't even have words for it. It was just amazing. Just amazing. The most amazing feeling I've felt for many years, since my children was born or something. It was just absolutely crazy.
It was a desperate end for Roy Hodgson's 4-year stint as England's manager when he stepped down on Monday night.
I'm extremely disappointed, of course, about tonight's result and ultimately our exit from the competition. We haven't progressed as far as I thought we were capable of, and that's obviously not acceptable. I'm actually proud of the work that my coaching staff and I have achieved during our time at the helm with England.
Damian.
Meanwhile, in another match, Italy broke a 22-year-old jinx to end Spain's bid for a record 3rd European title in a row with a 2-0 win.
Stoppage time. They soaked up all Spain could throw at them.
Italy triumphed with goals from Giorgio Chiellini and Graziano Pelle and will face Germany in the quarter-finals on Saturday in Bordeaux. Chiellini scored the game's opening goal, bundling home from close range after David De Gea parried an header free kick in greasy conditions in the first half.
Defender thinking and acting like a striker. Could he have done a bit better? De Gea, he does move on him. Giaccherini keeps it alive and Chiellini finishes.
An injury-time goal by striker Graziano sealed victory for the Italians, who had not won a competitive match against Spain since the 1994 World Cup and were humiliated 4-0 by their old rivals in the Euro 2012 final. They will now play Germany in the quarterfinals on Saturday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And now let's get you more updates from the world of sports and sports beat. India registered their first win in the Six Nations Invitational Hockey Tournament after defeating Ireland 2-1 in Valencia, Spain today. Ireland broke the deadlock with Kyle Good scoring a field goal in the 4th minute. Dalvinder Singh scored the equaliser for India in the 22nd minute. Later, skipper Sardar Singh scored the second goal in the 32nd minute to seal the victory for India. Ace shooter Sanjeev Rajput clinched the silver medal for India in the men's 50 metres rifle 3-position event of the ISSF World Cup today. Rajput shot 456.9 to win the silver medal in the last World Cup before the Rio Games. India maintained the number 3 position in the ICC ODI team rankings released on Monday. With 110 ratings points in its kitty, India are placed below world champions Australia and second place New Zealand. In the ICC player rankings for ODI batsmen, Virat Kohli was placed second, while Rohit Sharma occupied the 6th place and Shikhar Dhawan at the 8th spot. In tennis, world number 1 Serena Williams and Stanislas Wawrinka advanced to the second round of the Wimbledon Championships on Tuesday. Serena eased past Switzerland's Amra Sadikovic 6-2, 6-4. In the men's draw, Stan Wawrinka defeated American Taylor Fritz 7-6, 6-1, 6-7, 6-4. He will now play Juan Martin Del Potro in the next round. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.